Hi, everyone. This is Leah from Lightworkers Lifeline, and I'm here with Kara Farr from Australia. I'm from New York, and we are here to present you with the reading, both astrologically and from tarot perspective, of what you can expect to be dealing with this week. So, Kara, what cards have you pulled?
All right, so I've pulled 6 cards today. So we have starting off with good old death,
It's about time.
and then we have the 5 of Swords reversed.
That looks painful.
Yeah, the King of Wands,
Okay, that's awesome.
I'm going to show them all and then I'm going to get into the message because I've already kind of got an intuitive idea of what this is about. The Chariot,
Wow.
Ace of Swords reversed,
Wow. Powerful reading.
and then the 6 of Wands.
Oh, wow. We've not seen that one.
Yeah.
So, what does this all tell you?
So with the I've also got animal cards as well. We've got badger and porcupine, which I'll get into kind of it. I'll throw them in there as well.
Awesome.
So with these two animals, to me, they both represent a form of self-defense and self-protection. The porcupine obviously does have its more sort of fear-based reaction, whereas the badger has more aggressive approach. But both of these animals are very domineering. Sorry, one of them is very domineering. They're both very defensive, is what I was trying to say. They're both very protective and defensive, and um, I think with some of these cards, there is a overarching theme to me of empowerment and power and feeling powerful. And with the King of Wands, especially, this is a passionate, driven, powerful individual. This is the energy of fire and of strength and of being a leader and taking charge, taking action, especially towards goals that are fueled by passion and excitement and uh, just, yeah, like things in the realm of creativity and, uh, in a sense, like rulership of something, like having like a little kingdom, which could look different to different people. It's not necessarily quite literally like, I'm going to go dominate the world. And the chariot is speed and velocity and also empowerment. It's that driving force. We have these two cards in the center of the reading, indicating that there's this intensity about the reading. And the 6 of Wands, which is this little guy here that we haven't seen before, this is recognition, wanting to succeed. It's victory. So there's a big, powerful, like fiery, very Aries kind of energy to this reading. And with the badger is kind of ferocious in a way. And I mean, we don't have badgers in Australia, so I don't know much about them, but I've heard that they're not necessarily the friendliest of creatures. And
Listen,
porcupine,
oh, man hasn't given them a lot of good reason to be friendly. They want to be left alone. But there's a saying, never kick a badger. because if you kick a badger, it'll bite your foot and it won't let go.
Yeah. And
So,
it's very fiery energy. It's, the porcupine is when there's a threat, it immediately like foofs out and there's all of its spines, its spikes. And the Five of Swords is also here, which is about managing conflict, which I think is really interesting because we do have the badger and the porcupine with their defense mechanisms, and we have this fiery energy, this driven, dominant energy. And I think overall, what I feel like this could be is about working on how to utilize your passion and your drive and your energy and manage any kind of aggressive or over empowered, I guess, energy, right? And being able to manage any conflicts that arise on your pursuit to your personal victory. So there's multiple ways this could manifest. An example would be you take an individual who is looking for a position of power in their life, whether that be a higher position of work, whether that be higher financial status, whether that be entrepreneurial. This gives very entrepreneurial vibes to me. They're moving forward with that, but there's a need to also manage conflicts in a healthy way where you're not completely folding to someone else's will, or on the other end, not completely tearing their head off for having a difference of opinion or approach. Because the Five of Swords is communication, conflict, arguments sometimes, and being able to resolve those things.
yeah, I just have to interrupt because I was so aware of that today internally. So, I'm go and I had a tractor repaired and they delivered it to my house and there was no key. No key. So I had to drive all the way to this place today to go pick up the key. They said they would have it waiting for me behind the counter. It was there. The clerk wouldn't give it to me. He had to go and speak to the manager. And I sat there for 15 minutes and I was ready to kill someone. And I was like, this is not who you want to be. This is not the world you want to create. You need to talk yourself down. But literally, that type of thing has happened 3 or 4 times today. The anger is so high. It's just like, and I believe that, once again, I'm picking things up collectively, Kara. So I've been experiencing consciously today exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking up the card for Scorpio because I was about to add that and I didn't want to put the wrong card in. Yeah, that's definitely a good example because it doesn't have to be like you in the pursuit of a powerful endeavor. It can be just getting shit done because the Chariot wants to get shit done. He wants to move forward. He doesn't want all these potholes. And with the Death card, that's connected to Scorpio, which is connected to Pluto, and these three things, and the eighth house. And these things correlate with our emotions and transformation of deep emotions. And this is like emotional alchemy. It's being able to work on how your frustration or your emotions manifest in the term of defensiveness, because we have these two animals that represent defensiveness. And the porcupine, on one hand, is fearful and folds and gives its will away and hopes that it'll all just go away. Whereas the badger is the opposite. It's biting your toes off, So you've got two representatives of how this can manifest, and the goal is to transform your emotions in a healthy way where you can keep this King of Wands chariot energy, this beautiful center of power and drive and confidence and passion, and be able to exert your will in a healthy way where you are not giving in to people and giving your power away like the porcupine, or on the opposite end, exercising your will in a way that says, I'm better than you, or I'm going to take you out because you're inconvenient. And what your example offered was like, yeah, is that what I want to do? And you can experience this internally and ask yourself the question that you asked yourself, which was, do I want to smack this person across the head, or do I want to just wait? And that's all you really have to do, is just sit with that emotion. It seems to me that this reading is a little bit about the transformation of deep emotions.
Internal alchemy that we're really being asked. And I mean, I was just aware of living it today, that I was constantly being asked, is this anger appropriate? I mean, it was raging through my core. It's like, is this anger appropriate? No, it really isn't. Well, I am not going to then just distribute it, even though perhaps in the past I might have. But it was so hard because, I mean, it was coming up so strongly. And, I can't help but think, if that's happening to me and I'm so very conscious, what is this like for people that are living more in the 2D, in the 3D? They're going to be feeling the rage, and are they just going to be expressing it? So it's interesting. It's an interesting thing, but let me tell you, I feel fairly adept at working with my emotions, and this was a massive challenge for me. So hold on to your hats.
Yeah, and anger spreads like fire, right? It spreads like fire. People exert their anger, and then they put that mood onto others, and then those others put that, it spreads. Much like any emotion, it spreads like a fire. But anger tends to be more like a raging fire, like if you've got a group of people who aren't necessarily well versed in emotional regulation, that is going to cause this great kerfuffle. A good example is when I'm at work and one person is really angry, and then I start to feel that building up within me because they're taking it out on me or another coworker, and then I start to feel less inclined to be so overly, polite to other people, and instead become shorter and more dismissive because it's spreading. And I try to become aware of that in the moment, but it is difficult to cut that off.
Oh, yes. Very difficult. And I was just remembering, as you brought up this story, that actually this started for me yesterday. And I was feeling it and I didn't know what it was. And I told someone, I said, I feel scared because I feel like something is coming and I don't know what it is. And I think it's the anger. The anger's coming. So it's like we're being visited by a herd of angry rhinoceros or angry badgers. And we have to be careful not to kick each other's badger, because it is only going to result in
just a big shit show.
Yeah, a path of more anger.
And then resentment will build between the individuals. Wounds will form, old wounds will reopen. And that might be something that the collective is experiencing. Some of you may be experiencing wounds from the past connected to fear and anger being open. And another thing that I've been sitting on is how the eighth house, as well as connecting to deep emotional transformation, connects to what we are afraid of. And anger, it's interesting how this folds in together, right? Anger is a overlayer on fear. Like underneath anger is fear. You know, it exists because there's a fear or a sense of dis-ease of like things aren't going according to plan, which means that things aren't in my complete entire control, which adds a layer of fear. Because when you think about it, back in the day, if we ran into a bear unexpectedly, we would feel fear, and then maybe we would then rear our spears and we'd charge at it, we'd all go and we'd use this anger to survive and then live. So anger is like a survival tool, but because of the world that we live in, we no longer need to be fighting so much. There's that time for that emotional alchemy. And the porcupine is that fear side of it, you know, it's that defensive, fearful, prickly underbelly of anger.
Well, it's so funny because the porcupine has the soft underbelly, and
Yeah.
it is not entirely defenseless because what it does, if you, it's pretty much passive because it's assured of its safety. Because what it will do if you cross it, it will pivot on its two front legs and smack really hard. It gets a lot of velocity and it smacks you with the tail and drives the quills, which are hooked, so they don't come out the same way they went in. The only way they come out naturally is by going inside. And you can have animals actually killed by a needle that goes in their face and it works its way to the heart. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yep. So, yes. So porcupines are quite capable of defending themselves and um, very confident that nothing is going to bother them. You know, kind of similar to a skunk. And certainly a badger has a very similar, you know, attitude of fuck with me at your own risk.
Yeah.
Mess with me at your own risk.
Yeah.
If that's coming up in us now, unasked for and when I say unasked for, I mean we're not driving it and the situations aren't really calling it. So that's just showing up on our doorstep. It's showing up on our emotional horizons. It's really something that the collective needs to guard against, to watch for, to neutralize, you know, and I think that's a really important message for the collective right now. Watch your anger, monitor when it's flaring, how it's connected to fear. And, you know, let's really transmute this and carry this to a better place rather than letting it carry us someplace that isn't good.
Yeah. And it seems to be a very sensitive time where there's a lot, things could be very heated and things could be very touchy. And this could even be connected back to the last reading we did, which talked about some grief and some things like that, of like maybe there's a pursuit of something and then there's not smooth sailing, and then there's all of that flare up. Because the Six of Wands at the end is like, I want to be seen, I want to be heard, I want to be recognized in whatever way that resonates for a person. And there could be communication issues. We've got the Ace of Swords in reverse. There could be a lack of clear thinking, because the anger can do that to us. It can make us feel like, almost could make it seem like we're being irrational as this takes over. And the Five of Swords is like, we need to reconcile, we need to communicate clearly, we need to have a clear head on our shoulders. And as we push forward with this energy, just remember not to let the defensiveness or the anger or the sensitivity damage communication and relationships, because that's not what the anger wants for you. It doesn't want to hurt you, it wants to protect you. And if you think of your anger as, with a relationship to your anger, work with it in a way that appeases you and appeases it while simultaneously keeps the peace. It's a very delicate art of emotional alchemy, but it's definitely something to, and journal about it. Throw it all out on a page. There's, scream in your car if you have to. That's very therapeutic. Or exercise, run, use a punching bag, do something that physically gets your energy out, or that mentally gets your energy out.
Take a long walk in nature, just put your bare feet on the soil, and ask Mother Earth to just take it and visualize it draining out of you. Because remember, you're not harming the earth when you do that. And all energy is transmutable. So, the worst you can put out, our mother can transmute that so quickly and easily. And then it becomes energy, that can be used in positive ways. So, the other thing I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it was. Let's keep talking and hopefully it will come up.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all
Pretty
I
much
have
it.
for it. So I don't know if I could trigger the memory of
Oh, that's okay. We'll just let it go then. If I remember, I will post it somewhere that people can see it, or I'll tell you about it and we can mention it next week. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much. I hope that this is helpful. And I really do think it's important for us to be monitoring our internal emotional landscape and paying attention. There's a lot to navigate in this next week. And I'm curious to see if it gets any easier next week. And because I tend to go through things earlier, I'm wondering whether everyone else is going to start experiencing this in 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. We'll see. So, any comments from anybody about when you start feeling it would be interesting information to compile. Okay, thank you. Have a great week. Thank you very much, Kara. Great reading again.
Thank you.